नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, वणक्कम, खंबा घड़ी, राम राम से आप सभी को ऑल इंडिया मीडिया में फिर से स्वागत है। वी हैव अगेन PVR Narasimha Rao sir with us, who sir, a very warm welcome on the show.
Namaskar Gayatri ji, and namaskar to all your audiences.
I would like to briefly tell about sir. He is an IITian from Madras. He has done his masters from Rice University, Houston. At the age of 11, imagine at the age of 11, sir had diploma in Sanskrit Bhasha Kovida and Sanskrit Bhasha Visharda. At the age of 12, he had diploma which is equivalent to BA degree in Hindi in Rashtra Bhasha Pravina. So, sir has been quite into Sanskrit and Hindi and astrology, I guess, is inherited from his father. And I'm really, I'm really honored to have sir once again on my show. Again, a very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, the parliament is going to be inaugurated and the timing for the ritual begins from 7 a.m. in the morning on 28th of May, 2023. Before we go on there, what is the importance of Muhurat and what is the importance of timing in Muhurat, the rituals, the things we put in, in the Agni, Homkand, like that? Ji, sir.
Thank you. Whenever somebody is born, a new person is born, we make a chart for that person. And based on the planetary positions, when a new entity is born, they starts the existence on this earth, those planetary positions will have a correlation with the destiny, how the destiny unfolds for the new entity. So whether it's a newborn baby or a new animal, for example, a new calf is born, we make a chart for it and see how the life journey will be for that entity. And now the thing is, planets affect not only the living beings as we imagine, but also various entities. For example, suppose I start work at a new company. So when I start working, at that time, a new entity is born, which is basically my tenure at that company. Similarly, when two people are getting married, their marital life is a new entity, and that is born at that time. So in our philosophy, in living beings and non-living beings, in the end, it's all sarvam khalvidam. That is the essence of Vedanta. So as long as there is a notion in various minds, basically in the universal consciousness, there is a notion that there is this person called Narasimha Rao. That person called Narasimha Rao has a certain journey, karmic journey, based on the time when that notion was basically brought into fruition. Similarly, when there's a notion like these two people are living together, or this person is doing in this job, or this particular building is being used for parliamentary activities. So whatever the thought is, if there is a thought in the minds of several people that this thing is this entity, this person or this thing is taking birth, that has its own karmic momentum. So based on the time when that starts existence, you can foretell, you can see some correlations between how the life unfolds. So just like living beings, there is a life journey for these things also, inanimate things also, as I mentioned. So from that perspective, muhurta is very important. Muhurta decides the life journey of that particular entity that is starting his life at that time. So going back to the parliament inauguration, the time when basically the new parliament is started, basically it is inaugurated, that time will decide how the activities in that parliament, how the various legislative activities will happen there. So it is very important. Similarly, when two people are getting married, that time is important to see how the marriage will unfold. It's not just that for that particular year, but we actually make annual chart every year to see if there will be any marital problems in the next year, and so on. So it's basically like a new person. Basically, it's a new person, but it's not really a person. So from that perspective, muhurta is very important. And sometimes we don't have the charts of people who are involved. In that case, by picking suppose you are two people are getting married, you don't have their charts, you don't know how their marriage will be, but at least by picking a good muhurta for their wedding, you can ensure that at least that aspect is good. So irrespective of any weaknesses in their charts, if the muhurta is really good, there is a good chance that their marriage will go well. So, given that parliament is very important, legislative body is very important for any country, and India is at a very important inflection point, very important cusp. So, this is a very important event for India, for independent in India. So, that is why a lot of astrologers are taking interest in this muhurta.
Right. So can we just say that Muhurta is more like a positive energy? Is that moment or is that period around which the surge of positive energy is high
It
during
can
that
be
period of
positive
time?
energy, it can be negative energy, depending on how the muhurta is. Bottom line is the energies at the time of the muhurta, they basically are imbibed by that activity that is starting at that muhurta. Just like when a new person is born, the negative and positive energies, celestial energies that are there at that time are imbibed by that person, and they unfold in the journey of that person throughout the life of that person. Similarly, the journey of the event that is starting at that time, that will basically take the positive or negative energies. If the muhurt is good, it is more positive energy. If the muhurt is bad, it will be more negative energy.
Right. So, how coming to the parliament, and before we go to the parliament, there is something which has caught my heart and my attention is Sengola that comes
Sengol.
from Chola Empire.
Mhm.
What is its impact going to be on the person who holds it, the person who holds the power and holds the Sengola? Ji sir.
In any civilization, we have various civilizational symbols. We have symbols that basically, again, an object is just an object. For example, if you take a murti in a temple, it's just a murti made of stone or metal or whatever. But the thing is, as more and more people imagine that there is divine energy there, then all that, because it's all a play of the mind. So as more people think of that murti with reverence and think that there is God in it, divine presence is established there. And especially when some rituals are done, when some priests come and chant powerful prayers with a real belief that God's energy is being invoked there, their Shakti and their mental energy also gets used. So in the end, after the ritual, some energy is definitely established there. And as more and more people come there with that bhavana, their mental energy also adds to it. So it's kind of like if you have a piggy bank, you keep putting $1 every day. In the beginning, you may put a lot of money, and later every day you are putting $1. Slowly it accumulates and it may become a big amount. Similarly, whether you take an idol in a temple, a murti in a temple, or anything where people have a certain notion in their mind, something gets established over the time. And here, this particular symbol Sengol is a very if you look at it, it's very regal, it looks very interesting. And as a matter of fact, you will see that something like a stick, effectively, but with nice design, is used in many civilizations as a symbol of power. Basically, it's like something. Is the Sanskrit word is danda. It's a rajadanda or dharmadanda. It's basically a stick with which you enforce the laws and enforce dharma. And if you look at it's really beautiful and regal. On the top of it, you see a bull. And some people are concerned that in a secular country you are getting Nandi, etc. But the thing is, first of all, you can look at that bull. It is Nandi, Shiva. And again, it's a perfect symbol of detached service to his master. When somebody is the king or prime minister of the nation, he's basically, it's not a position of power as people think. It's actually a position of service. You are serving the country. You are serving dharma in the country. So just like Nandi served Shiva, you are the king is the prime minister, and various elected leaders are supposed to serve the country. So Nandi is a great symbol for that spirit of service and also the spirit of dharma. And if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, it basically says that, again, it compares Dharma Purusha with a bull, with a Vrishabha. So Dharma is like a bull, and there are four legs. The four legs are compared with, I think the verse goes as uh, Satyam. Uh, I forget the exact word, but basically it is truthfulness, then cleanliness, not just physical or mental cleanliness, but the clean heart, having a clean heart and pure intentions. So one word is satyam, the truthfulness. The other word is shaucham, which is purity, cleanliness. The other word is tapas, which means austerity. The other word is daya, kindness or compassion. Satyam, Daya, Tapas Chaucham. Those are the words in Srimad Bhagavatam. So those are the four legs. So a real king to uphold dharma should be truthful, should have pure intentions, and should do some austerity. Basically, it's not a position of power, something he's enjoying, but something where he's serving. And this is basically an austerity for him. This is like a tapas. The service, public service is like a tapas. And daya, you should have kind heart and compassion for the people that you are serving. Not like I'm their ruler, I'm superior to them. It's not that basically. So the bull, the Vrishabha that is on the Sengol, it symbolizes dharma itself, and these four aspects that a ruler should have. So this is really a reminder for the rulers, whether it's Narendra Modi ji now or whoever comes later. It's a reminder to them that you are a public servant and you should serve. You should exert that power over people with a sense of satyam, daya, tapas, chaucham. So that is basically that is why it has a lot of inner meaning. And also the thing is because of how regal it is, and also because when they made it with a certain process, certain, and also when they are handing it over, there'll be a ritual done, there'll be some mantras chanted. So all that basically, that power, power is again, everybody has its own power. So collectively, all these saints, all these acharyas who are involved in this process, that power is transmitted. So that power is imbibed in it. And moreover, external symbolism of it should invoke that sense of service inside you. Think of yourself as a Nandi and think of the country as Shiva.
Right. That's very interesting. And the so then this is their inscriptions written in Tamil. So I remember the Chola Empire, one of the mightiest empires that existed in Bharatvarsha. So it brings that feeling, that nostalgia, that thought. When you see that royal stick, it's got a royal stick. That brings you those memories of bringing the golden days back. It gives that feeling actually.
Yeah. It's not just a mighty empire, but it was a really long empire, one of the longest empires in Indian history. They ruled for several hundreds of years, almost the entire South India and sometimes spanning even into North India. So the thing is, we hope that the new rule that is starting here, not necessarily of a particular party, but basically of Indian people ruling themselves. This is a new beginning for India, and a new Indian empire will be established, and it will be strong in the world over coming century or more.
Right. Sir, I'd like to come to the new parliament. Its timing
Yeah.
is good or bad. There's a lot of controversy among the astrologers, and
Yes.
what its impact going to be on the Indian politics in the long run.
First of all, whether the muhurt is good or bad, as I mentioned in the past, the next year is very delicate for India. You have Gurjandal Yoga in Mesha. Guru and Rahu are together in Mesha, which is the 12th house from Lagna, the natal Lagna of India. In India's independence chart, Vrishabha is the rising sign. So it is the 12th house of hidden enemies. So there will be some hidden enemies conspiring against India, trying to destabilize India, trying to create anti Modi narratives, and instead of focus being on progress, etc., focus being on dividing the country, basically divide and rule that the British employed against Indians successfully will be retried by various forces, foreign forces, in collaboration with, of course, internal forces. So, and also from Moon, India's natal chart has Moon in Cancer. So, from that, this is the 12th house. So, again, sorry, 10th house. 10th house shows government, governance, etc. So, there will be some disturbances the next year is very very delicate for India. So irrespective of the muhurta, that will happen. So some people may say it is because of the weakness in the muhurta, but I don't think so. The muhurta itself has some strengths as well as weaknesses. But the thing is, in my opinion, the positives far outweigh the negatives. And I can actually share the screen and look at the muhurt itself. But I want to make one point before I do that. There are two muhurtas here really. One muhurta is for the actual start of the ritual, etc. I'm told that the muhurta is 7 o'clock. So at 7 o'clock they will start. It's basically like Gruha Pravesh. When you do a Gruha Pravesh into a new house, you are starting your life in that particular house. So at that time, you enter the house with an idol or with a picture of God, and you basically light a lamp, you boil milk, and you do a puja and you offer naivedyam. So that is the key time. That is the most important time. The time when you do puja. Later in the evening, suppose you do that in the morning. In the evening, you may call your friends and family. You do a big party. You may feed everybody. But the thing is, that's secondary. The primary thing is when you go there and when you basically consecrate the area with prayers. That is when that area is getting a life of its own. So after that, once it gets the life, there may be various activities happening. So the dedication to the nation. I saw an invitation card that is circulating on social media, which says noon basically, but that is for the dedication to the nation. So that muhurta has some strengths but also weaknesses. But overall, it is positive in my opinion. But it has some weaknesses. I can respect why some astrologers are concerned about that muhurta. But in my opinion, even that muhurta is not terrible. It is a pretty decent muhurta. And especially if you take the 7 o'clock muhurta, where they are actually starting the consecration, starting the pujas and rituals, to me, that is the real muhurta. That is the important event. The other one is secondary, and that is a really good muhurta. So overall, I'm not concerned. The muhurta is not bad. It is positive, and we I can share my screen and briefly go through the astrological terms.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Or not yet.
So,
Okay. See the screen, right?
yeah, it is coming.
Oh, is it? Okay. So this is the chart, May 28, 2023, New Delhi, 12 o'clock, basically noon. So if you see this chart, the lagna is Simha lagna. So on the positive side, it's a fixed lagna. Fixed lagnas are good for stability, and the lagna lord sun is in the 10th house. And if you look at the longitude, 11 degrees and 14 degrees, so very closely in the 10th house. So that is Abhijit Muhurta. When sun is in the 10th house, that's called Abhijit Lagna. So that is considered to be auspicious. And as it, actually some classics say that irrespective of any weakness in the Muhurta, if it is Abhijit Lagna, that will compensate for everything. The other thing is Guru. Jupiter is at 10 degrees, so has a very close aspect on Lagna. And he is also the fifth lord of Poropunya. So when the lord of the Poropunya is in the ninth house of Dharma, and he is aspecting Lagna, it is really good basically. So, and Guru is the planet of Dharma. So he will channel your Poropunya to your Dharma, and he will benefit your entire existence. So Guru and Sun are very beneficial. There, and also Venus, if you look, Shukra, he's the 10th lord aspecting the fifth house. So it's like a partial Raj Yoga, 10th lord connecting with the fifth house. So these are the positives. But on the negative side, if you see, the yoga Mars, he is debilitated in the 12th house of losses. And more importantly, the 12th lord moon, he's in Lagna. So there are basically some negatives also. And particularly if you look at Navamsha chart. In the Navamsha chart, you see Venus and Jupiter are in the 12th house, which is not really a great placement. And you have Saturn in the 8th house, which is good for longevity, but it's basically it can also show a lot of obstacles. And more importantly, the 8th Rahu is in Lagna. So Rahu is very bad in this particular Muhurta. 8th Lord in the Lagna in Navamsa shows some problems in following the right Dharma. And here also, if you look at the Rasi chart, Rahu is in the 9th house. It is a Manakaraka sthana for Rahu. When Rahu, because he is a planet of Adharma, when he is in the house of Dharma, he is not comfortable there. So it's a very bad house, one of the worst houses for Rahu to be. So Rahu is in Manakaraka sthana. Moreover, Rahu and Guru are very close, even 1 degree. So there is a Guru Chandal yoga. So So Guru, even though he's aspecting Lagna and that is a blessing, there is good Chandala Yoga. So Pura Punya is being channeled to Dharma and for the welfare country, benefit of the country. But there are some foreign influences that are basically badly obstructing it. And this Muhurti is conducive to that. So there are, as I mentioned, there are some positives as well as negatives. And in terms of the Tithi, it is Naumi Tithi. Some people don't consider Ashtami and Naumi as auspicious Tithis for this kind of activities. But the thing is, Naumi is a Tithi that is Ashtami and Naumi are associated with Durgama. And this is the phase when Durga's energy is expressing in the entire world and particularly in India. So, in my opinion, Tithi is fine. And if you look at the yoga is Harshana Yoga, which is a good yoga. So, overall, and also if you look at the Hora is he's debilitated. So, that is so wow, there are some weaknesses. To be sure, there are some weaknesses. But again, on the positive side, there is a Mahapurush Yoga being given by Shani. There is a Hes Yoga. It is one of the 5 Pancha Mahapurush Yogas. And what this shows is Saturn is the 7th lord in the 7th house. So 7th shows relations with other countries. So this is very good. The activities that happen here will help the country have good relations with other countries and establish itself as a leader in the country, but in a humble way, because Saturn shows a humble leader, but who is very influential in the world. So there are, as you can see, there are many positives and many negative. One more thing, Ketu in the 3rd is actually very, very good. This is not the best placements for Ketu. So you can see it is a mixed chart. There are some positives and there are some negatives as well. But if you overall look at things, I think Guru's placement is considered as really bad. It is good being
Narasimha sir, your voice is cracking a lot from
the
last 1 minute.
attitude here, the compassionate spirit down. So in this chart, the 5th lord Jupiter is in the 9th house. Even though there is good Chandala Yoga, 5th lord Jupiter in the 9th house in exaltation, and overall this is and there is a
Narasimha,
Viparita Raj Yoga given by Mercury, the 8th lord in the 12th house. And the politics of this country will be very effective and it will really be reformed in the coming year. So overall this is a pretty good chart, but I can see why some people are concerned about. But let us look at the more important chart in my opinion, as I mentioned. Okay, it is 7 o'clock, the time I was given for the puja start. Basically, this is the real Graha Pravesh into the new parliament. So this is 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you look at this chart, contains the 5th lord Venus in a friendly sign, actually Adhimitra Rasi. So that is very auspicious. Porpunya is being triggered, and the 9th house contains the 9th lord Saturn, and that is very good for dharma. And Saturn shows conservative and old-fashioned approach. So basically, the old traditions will come back, and people will be very dharmic. Uh, and the Lagna lord is in the 11th house of gains. So this is very good for the progress of the country. And he's also with the 9th lord Rahu. So now this combination, Mercury Rahu combination, is a Lakshmi Yoga. Lagna lord and 9th lord together in the 11th house aspecting
Narasimhan sir, your
house,
voice is
and even
cracking
10th lord
quite a
is with
bit.
them. So this is a house of gains. So this is super. Sun being in the 12th house is actually not bad because he's the 3rd lord. So even Ankaraka Sthana for Sun, this is a Viparita Raj Yoga really. So this is good. Uh, Mars is debilitated, but that's good now because he's the 6th lord. He's a Papi. He's a functional malefic for Gemini Lagna, Mithun Lagna. So his debilitation is actually very good. As a matter of fact, the 10th lord is in Adhimitra Rasi and lord is in debilitation. So this is like a partial Jaya Yoga, victorious yoga for victory. So So there are various positives here. So this is a much better chart. So I
So if
really
I
think that the more important
say
I was
you
saying the
wanted,
more
I think you
important
removed the
muhurta
chart.
is very positive. Yeah, I intentionally removed. I think I finished the discussion. I
Okay.
will summarize that the more important muhurta, the muhurta for puja, actual Graha Pravesh is a very positive muhurta. And the muhurta for dedication to the nation, the public function later on, that is mixed but overall positive in my judgment. So I think overall this is uh, not as bad as several people are worried about. Moreover, they are putting too much emphasis on the 12 o'clock muhurta. It is really the 7 o'clock muhurta that should dominate the discussion. So I think this is very positive. And again, as I said in the beginning, because of the chart of India, there will be some disturbances seen over the next 9 months or 10 months or 11 months or so. So some people may attribute it to this muhurta, but I don't think that's true. That's based on India's chart. And this muhurta will play out in the long run with India's rise internationally and the Indian politics being refined and becoming more mature and more dharmic and serving people with a spirit of service. So this will be really positive for India, in my opinion.
Right. So, what is like if I go party wise, because parliament means parties, representatives of people. What is its impact? What its impact going to be on BJP, Congress, and the regional parties? My focus is because people have been talking about Union of India in the long run.
Yeah, if you look at the BJP party's chart, BJP party has Gemini Lagna. So this is the same Lagna, and if you look at the links between the BJP party's chart and this chart, this is actually pretty good for the BJP party, and for the Congress party, this is not a really good muhurta. So I think as a result of this muhurta, it'll lead to a rise in the BJP party. And even though Congress has found some kind of new birth, new revitalization recently, that may prove to be short lived, and this is not really a good muhurta for Congress party.
So, and so what about the, you said about Lakshmi Yoga and two things, Lakshmi Yoga and the old traditions. That means financially we are all going to, the country is going to, rise higher and higher, development, monetary wise, standard of
Prosperity.
living,
Yeah.
prosperity. So, for the overall country.
Mhm. Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So as a result of this activity, as a result of this particular thing, it will increase the prosperity in the country. The thing is, everything contributes to some extent. Nothing is absolute. Basically, you have to look at so many factors. You have to look at India's own chart, charts of India's leaders, etc. And there are various mundane charts like the lunar new year chart, Saturn Jupiter conjunction chart, etc. So there are so many factors, but this factor by itself is contributing to India's prosperity. And overall, my expectation is in the coming decade or so, India will rise. If you look in the history, if you look at the past, India was a very rich country before the British came. So and after British came, India was plundered, and it basically India's GDP really sank. So India has potential. India has intelligence. India has smart people. India has dharmic people. India has disciplined and hardworking people. I believe that in the next decade and a half, India will really rise materially in the world. But at the same time, the core values of dharma, selfless service, and the sense of unity, sense of we are all in this together, that sense will be rekindled in the country. So there will be selfless dharma in the country, and at the same time, prosperity.
Right. Sir, you've been mentioning the House 12 and
Mhm.
Guru Chandali Yoga. So, in House 12 is enemies in dark. What is that going to be? Because we've
All these
seen,
hidden
we've been,
enemies, hidden enemies.
yeah.
So hidden enemies may influence your activities. They may try to hurt you. So some harm coming from unseen enemies. They're behind you and basically hurting you from the back. So that kind of harm. It's not like Pakistan directly warring against you, but somebody sitting in a Western country doing some propaganda against you without their name coming out. and that kind of things will hurt India. So, as I said, that is seen based on India's chart and transit this year. And this Muhurta is also, the 12 o'clock Muhurta is also to some extent conducive to that. So, over the next year or so, there may be a lot of such activity. External
Right.
enemies doing propaganda against India and also against those who are working for India's interest.
Right. So last question. The Sengol
Yeah.
does I wouldn't like calling it instrument, but I don't know what is the term I should use. Somebody holding that, does it pass on certain kind of energies, and does it bring change in the person who is holding it? Yes, sir.
I believe it does various of these things, especially when something is consecrated ritually, and when the acharyas and priests who are doing the rituals have a certain thought in their mind. It's all vibration. Basically, we are all one connected consciousness according to Vedanta, and then there are vibrations in that consciousness. Various thoughts. Those are basically those vibrations in the consciousness. So when there is a very powerful vibration uh, in various positive places, that vibration will basically create stability in that environment. So it has that energy. So depending on your how ready you are to basically how receptive you are to that energy, it can have an effect on you. And I believe that the spirit of service, the spirit of selfless service, the austerity that I mentioned, the satyam daya tapas shaucham, so those qualities are there in, for example, Sri Narendra Modi, Sri Yogi Adityanath. It may not be there in every leader in India, and not every BJP leader or not every Congress leader, but at least those two people do have that quality amply. And also they have the ninth house strong, because if your ninth house is strong, then you can receive the blessings from acharyas and gurus and devatas very well. So both of them have a very, both Yogi Adityanath ji and Narendra Modi ji have those blessings, the ninth house strong. Particularly Yogi ji has the ninth house really strong. So when he basically is in charge of this, he will really not only he will receive the blessings from the acharyas, but he will actually add extra blessings to it. In general, when you are put in charge of dharma, when there is when there is a symbol, a religious or cultural symbol like that vested in you, that has certain energy inside it, some unseen spiritual energy, your receptiveness may differ, and that is based on the ninth house in your chart.
Right. So would you like to add anything before we wind up?
I just want to say one thing. Some people are taking objection to a religious thing basically being used here, etc. But the thing is, if you look at the king's crown, it has a cross on it. And if you look at the king's ceremony that happened recently, the coronation ceremony, they have these big staff, big stick that has a cross, etc. So things associated with religion, symbols associated with religion being used is not really new. And in general, when it comes to symbols, for example, in all the courts we use a hammer for saying order. Why should it be a hammer? Why can't it be some other symbol? See, these symbols are accepted in various civilizations over time, and they invoke certain thoughts inside you. So over time, those symbols will get certain energy automatically. And this particular thing that is being used, this particular regal rajadanda that is being used, it has been used in the past, and it has a certain, invokes certain thoughts in the minds of people. So, and like I said, basically some powerful acharyas are going to invoke energy in it, so it is a very positive thing. So I just want people to not over criticize and not be overly logical, and give it a chance, and it will be really good for India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining. I would like to add one line before we wind up. There are always energies. We cannot see them. We can only experience them, and that experience is through our bodies. And body tells us whether an energy is positive or negative. So when we have muhurat, we have ceremonies performing, we feel a positivity in the house. So that environment should not be maligned with anything, like protests and things like that. So enjoy the festivity, enjoy the positive energy, enjoy the moment. This has come after 100 years roughly. I mean, 1995 years. So enjoy. This is a new beginning, a new temple of democracy. And big congratulations to all the people of India, me as well, and to you as well, sir. And hope this new parliament brings us a lot of prosperity in the long run for our country. जी, thank you so much sir for
Shubham
joining.
bhuyat.
Jai Hind.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.